We're going to take a look at the Norcold refrigerator. This one is the model N412. It's what we have been installing in our Elite 2 models. Starting with the 2022 models, it will be in our Elite 2 and our Elite model as well. Now, I want to take a look at the main interaction screen here. You've got your on-off, your mode, temperature set, and a little display screen. This little display screen has some writing on each corner of a square. Now this screen is usually best seen if you kind of sit down at the dinette and look at it. If you're looking from above, you may not see everything on the display. But the bottom corner shows auto. Then you go up to AC mode, LP gas, and DC. These different modes are only discussing the cooling operation of the refrigerator. And what I mean is this circuit board panel and the lower board all utilize DC power regardless of what shore power you're connected to or gas that you're using. It requires 12-volt power just for the communication process and interaction of this board. So as I press the on-off button, that utilizes 12-volt power. Now when it first kicks on, it immediately lights up to AC because we are connected to AC shore power. We have 120-volt power coming in. Now at this point you can change the mode, and I want to show you through these different settings here. So this little dash next to AC will stay lit as long as we have AC power. I can hit the mode once. It's going to switch to LP gas. As long as we have LP gas turned on, it'd go ahead and kick on and cool. And we'll go ahead and press it again. It's going to drop down to the DC side. Now these are using it manually. I'm manually selecting what cooling mode I want this fridge to operate in. If I press it one more time, it's going to jump to auto. It's going to show a dash in auto and immediately show a dash of what mode that it's selecting. Now once it selects that cooling mode and it starts to work, you'll notice that that dash goes away. So now the only thing that I know is that it's in auto mode. But say somebody walks by the camper and disconnects me from AC shore power. The refrigerator only knows that it no longer has AC shore power, and it's going to immediately try for gas. If gas isn't available, it's going to go to DC. Once it goes to DC power and selects it, the dash over here will disappear and will go back to auto. The important part of that is that you're not going to know. And if it switches automatically to DC, it's going to be running on your battery power through cooling mode. The standard 12-volt for this board does not pull that much power, but DC power for the cooling unit pulls 15 amps, which is a lot of power. So auto mode is good at times. However, you will want to make sure that whatever other power source that you're using for the cooling unit, AC, gas, or DC, that you're aware of what's happening. Again, I can select AC mode to where I only want AC mode. Now, the downside of selecting AC mode is now if somebody accidentally pulls the power or something happens to my incoming power, then the refrigerator just loses all power and it's going to shut down and throw an error code for no AC power incoming. At that point, my fridge is no longer going to be cooling. So it's one of those decisions you would need to make of how you want to go about operating the refrigerator. If I'm in the camper, I'm most likely going to do the selection of the mode that I want. If I'm leaving the camper and I may be gone for a while, I would probably put it in auto, so that way if something did happen to my incoming power, it would try to go to gas or DC and continue cooling the fridge to save all of my stuff inside the refrigerator. Now, one of the last settings here, temperature set, you can select this and it just shows the different display all the way up to 1 through 9. Now, even at the 9 setting, your refrigerator temperature itself, and that it's going to go to about 38 degrees. Your freezer should be down around 0. But really the best way to test the temperature is to test a thing of water inside or something that's already inside the freezer that is frozen. And again, I want to just point out the on-off mode, temperature set, all of this is operating on 12-volt power, regardless of the power source you're connected to. This is selecting what you want to use for the cooling unit of the fridge. It's either going to use 120 volt AC power to cool it, LP gas to cool it, or you can cool it on DC power. When 12 volt power is not available to the refrigerator, none of the cooling modes will work because this front board will not work, and you won't have any access to communicate you with the fridge or this upper board with the lower board. Here with the refrigerator, the opening closing latch is pretty easy to work. You've got a little handle here that you can grab a hold of and you just press up. It opens the door. When you get ready to close it, you just kind of press it closed. Now, one thing that you will want to do when you store the camper for winter or any other storage purpose, you would want to make sure that you open this, and you might even throw a towel or something to make sure that it does not close. You will want to leave it open and let it air out through that storage process. The interior of the fridge is pretty standard, about like any other refrigerator that you've seen, especially a small one. You've got your lower fridge. You also have your upper freezer here. I would tell you to be careful with the hinges. They are plastic. If you pull it too hard, it will snap those right off. One other thing that I want to point out in the refrigerator, it's just like any other fridge. If you overstock it, the stuff inside the refrigerator can freeze if it doesn't have enough air circulation in there. Outside of that, it's pretty much just a refrigerator.